Good afternoon from Europe, 13th of May, Wednesday. We are right 10 minutes ahead of the US cash open. Piotr here. This is Light Forex Global YouTube channel. It's my pleasure to be with you. Let's start straight away. Okay, so Powell. That's the theme number one for us today. Well, the market was looking for some specific comments when it comes to the Powell, right? So market was looking for let's say some things like something about negative rates, right? But right here, right now, based on the Bloomberg, Fed's view on negative rates has not changed. Not something Fed is looking at, right? What else from the Powell? The growing sense that recovery will come more slowly than what we would like. Unemployment may decline sharply but likely will remain well above 2018 and 2019 levels. Over next month or so, unemployment will peak. Uh, 15 minutes ago, Fed funds futures show bets on negative rate by early 2021. So it's completely different what we got from the Powell few minutes ago. So overall, highly uncertain and subject to significant downside risk still when it comes to the outlook. Anyway, euro dollar. I thought that we are not gonna to clean. Let me make a different way. I thought that we are not gonna to clean that high, but we did. Anyway, nothing has changed. I'm still dollar positive. All right. We have nice. Oops, sorry. We have nice setup here going on. All right. So depends on where we are going to be within the next 7 minutes. I might decide eventually to go with euro short somewhere around 108.85, right? The levels we've seen yesterday over here. So I like this possible setup on the euro dollar. Maybe it's gonna be much more conservative to wait towards the early close. We'll see. We are still the good thing when it comes to the buyers, we are still above the weekly open, right? So let's have a look from the higher time frame perspective where we are here. Let's switch back to daily. All right. So overall, if you remember educational videos, we are discussing this particular candle, the low and the entry, right? So we tested that level once, second time yesterday with the rejection. That's what I discussed. So the first phase of the plan worked out nicely, but to be honest with you, that's the thing. Because of the Powell today, it's lesson learned, right? I should think that this kind of the manipulation could take place here. Well, anyway, we will see. Would be great to get below daily open at the same time closing the day below the weekly open. So kind of the midweek reversal. That would be great from the euro dollar perspective. So watching carefully where we are going to be when the US cash market will open. Looking to sell a little bit of the rally, right? Cable, same story here. We got earlier today ugly preliminary GDP. Even market expectations were that even lower. We get a little bit higher, so that could confuse few of market participants. But I think that the direction is one to the downside. But again, guys, I do understand that still we might not be ready to break through 2022, and we for some time we can still be inside the range, right? We have to break 22, close below. That should eventually open the way towards 120, 119.65, right? Taking into the consideration these levels as well as those two upper shadows before the break. So overall, I'm looking to sell. That might be somewhere around 23.50. Actually, I'm looking to add into that position. Don't forget, guys, that you can monitor my trades. The link is in the description. All right. So you can see that I'm a little bit of the short when it comes to the dollar already. Okay. So let's switch lower. Let's get back. So 23.40 from the daily chart, but on the intraday, from the intraday perspective, we have some kind of the channel going on here. Right, so that could be the case. 1, 2, 3 break lower. Depends again where we are going to be at the end of the hour. If we are going to break and close below 23 again, right, I might add into the position, and I'm going to look for the first test of 2022. All right, some stop hunt maybe towards the London fix. We'll see. So that's how I see the cable. Now I'm overall bullish dollar, and I'm talking about this for quite some time, as well as I'm doing this stuff, meaning buying dollar. But there are, for example, other pairs like euro pound. Now taking into the consideration the very weak preliminary UK GDP, and taking into the consideration daily chart of euro pound, I really like where we are and what we do here. All right, so that's the possible demand zone. There was some kind of the stop count already. That's, I think, what was missed, and nice round bottom, right? So now two levels in my interest. The first is of course weekly open, and the second Monday high, which been already tested. Going lower, been tested, right? I would like to see a little bit of the spike to the downside. Not sure if we are going to get that one, right? To try to test levels below 87.80, right? Down to 87.70, maybe 87.65. There is some kind of the demand from the intraday perspective right over here, right? So trying to visualize what I would like to see, some kind of the, attempt to break lower with the shadow to the downside, right? And move back upside. So we know we had 3 educational videos based on this particular strategy. So that's what I'm looking for, a little bit lower. Can we go that low? I have unfortunately no idea, but that's how I'm trying to look at this euro pound. So that's how it looks when it comes to the FX. I will try to get back to the New Zealand dollar versus euro, but let's check what is going on when it comes to US indices. US cash market is open. We had very nice pullback, retest today, pre-market retest of the weekly open. And a little bit of the rejection for now, all right? So Monday, engulf, Tuesday, retest of the broken weekly open. And we will see if we can continue lower. I do prefer probably S&P or DJ, but we are going to watch this NASDAQ. We are going to watch this NASDAQ first 5-minute trading range. And one thing is the weekly open. The second thing is this consolidation and break out of that consolidation, 50% of that, so 9,290, all right, somewhere here. So there are two levels for me, weekly open and the zone above. So let's have a look. Let's have a look what we have when it comes to the first 5-minute trading range. So that's the cash open. That's the cash low for now. That's the cash high for now. Okay, so generally speaking, this pre-market high over here, so that's probably some kind of the liquidity. If we are going to go through to hit some stops and we are going to see some kind of the rejection around the weekly open, that could be my first attempt from the intraday perspective when it comes to the US indices, in particular here the Nasdaq, right? But let me get back to the Kiwi for a second, because earlier today we had RBNZ rate decision, right? Looks like because we discussed, if you remember yesterday evening, we discussed NZD USD to the downside. We discussed possible AUDNZD eventually, and I'm going to discuss this. But I like where we are when it comes to the Euro Kiwi, right? Especially from the higher time frame. Previously it was, some may think that that's gonna be head and shoulders, right? This thing here, right? Well, it's using imagination. I can imagine that some were thinking about the head and shoulder, right? But then we saw huge break to the upside, so there was no head and shoulder formation. And again, based on one of the educational videos which are available on the archive section and with Light Forex Global YouTube channel. So what I like here is where we started the week, right? Where we are compared to that head and shoulder, perfect setup. And yes, we have the rally. So we are reacting at the very, very important level. So the weekly open is a key here for me, all right? We are right now four figures higher, mostly because of the RBNZ, whatever it takes from Draghi. So the Kiwi is weakening a lot. From the daily chart perspective, I can imagine that we are going to break out of this possible flag, some kind of the channel, but we can treat it as a possible breakout of the flag. That's number 2. Number 3, what I like here is this local weakness and this stop break and higher here, right? So overall, depends where we are going to get the daily close. The conservative entry eventually is going to be around 79.40, and the Monday high in that case 78.40, right? That's the first zone. The second zone is related to the to the weekly open eventually. That's here. All right, so let's place a few more lines. And let's have a look what we have from that perspective. As you can see, levels related to the RBNZ, that would, if we are going to see this type of the pullback, for now doesn't look like. So that would be my eventually entry when it comes to the Euro Kiwi. So I'm going to be patient here. I'm going to wait here for a little bit more fireworks eventually. Of course, it's gonna to depend on the sentiment, and sentiment currently doesn't look good post Powell. So Powell didn't save the world. That's the low. All right. Still cannot rule it out, the move upside hitting the stops. We'll see. Again, don't forget, guys, you can monitor my trades, right? Link is in the description. So overall, I'm looking to add into the dollar long position. I'm looking to buy Euro Pound. I'm looking to buy Euro Kiwi. The last one is about update about the local neighbors, Australian dollar versus Kiwi dollar. We're talking about the possible short. We are testing the supply from the weekly chart. We are testing that supply, but I think there is one more. There is a channel. Sorry. Like this, right? So also with this supply we discussed a second ago, it was rejected on Monday, and I'm very curious where we are going to be at the end of the day, right? If the bears are going to manage to create upper shadow, right, then I think I'm going to join the party short term to the downside. That's how I've been explaining yesterday, right? This China, Australia, a little bit of the trade tension could weigh on the Australian dollar, so we will see. So I'm going to monitor into the daily close where we are when it comes to this trend line, right? So that's when it comes to the Australian dollar versus New Zealand dollar. All right, folks, that's it from me. Monitor my trades, link in the description. It was my pleasure to make this update for you. If necessary, I'm going to get back to you later today again. Take care and goodbye.